Okay, please. Meeting will now, the Finance Committee meeting will now come to order. Annette,
Yeah, we'll have Stephanie do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Yarborough,
present.
Commissioner Harrison,
Here.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Here.
Commissioner Scott.
Here.
You're all present. So then our first agenda item is for Todd Johnson and the update on the jail intake construction project.
Okay,
Thank you, Annette.
good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Really good. Thank you.
Good.
Wait, so they know.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. That's
Okay. All these new rules. I'm assuming that you guys were sent the agenda here on some of these numbers, some of the updates for the jail intake project. Currently, to date, our contract sum is about $9,342,056, which is a difference of $1,310,878. That puts our contingency at about 16%, which is unusual, not very good in my book. But after going back through these, you'll find that most of these, as far as contingency goes, in unforeseen type situations, that only accounts for about 6% of that. The other, say 10%, I classify more as not seen by the design company. They were issues that were right out in front of you, but should have been there, weren't there. Regardless, all 16% of that, everything did add worth to the project. There was nothing that was, you know, it was all needed. It would have been there if it would have been done right at the beginning. Those things wouldn't have been there. So with that, I mean, the number to me doesn't look good. I don't like it. So I had to bring it down so I do like it.
Hey, Todd, this is Bob Harrison. Would you say that the changes, the unforeseen or lack of foreseen, is in the technology area or physical plant construction, those types of things?
The main one was one of the technology, one of the camera situations, which should have been addressed a little bit different. It took us a while. It took me actually to get the CEOs from both the construction and from Vice in the same room to get it hashed out. We relied on Vice. We went off the recommendation that their jail consultant had 130 jails underneath his belt. We assumed that he would have got all of this. He didn't. And the other is, the not forcing were like some of the issues of floors not pitched to the drains. I don't know what to say about that one. The other are some, they had some fire rated doors that have to be on any kind of storage area. They have to be an hour. They're expensive, but by code, that's in simple code, that's what it has to be. And it kind of skimped on that a little bit in places. And our building inspector, new building inspector, caught some of those things. And they came to me and wanted me to talk to her, which I said, that's, I'll talk to her, but it's not going to probably do you a favor because, one, I have to live with this person. And two, she's right. I mean, it's a storage area, it needs these doors, so, and there'll be another one coming up here shortly. So it was just, like a boilerplate print, and then just kind of added to it as it went, it seemed like, and that wasn't fortunate for any of us. But
Okay, that's sufficient. I just was trying to get some, thoughts from you, so that appreciate it.
I mean,
May I ask a question? I read the report, and when it said 16%, what? 16% left to do? 16% in error? 16% what? What?
that 16% is 16% of the original contract cost.
Loss.
And that, we usually, that's our contingency. Usually we try to keep that between, 5%, we try not to get to 10%, sometimes it does. But, yeah, that 16% is a calculation of the original contract cost.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Todd, this is Commissioner Scott. I've got a question. You and I both know that on some of these issues that were designed due to lack of foreseeing by the design group, you and I both know that regardless of whether it was unforeseen by the design group, that's what we paid them to do. And we all know that they have to go by the Uniform Building Code, and to miss fire doors, 1 hour fire doors, and some of these other things are unacceptable. I get when it was brought to us, the discussion about the thick concrete, where it took short of a blasting cap to get that stuff out. I can get that. I understand that. Because that's unforeseen, that's below the floor, you don't know what's in there, you're giving your best case scenario. But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the design flaws by the designer and the builder. This is their specialty. So my question to you is, what have we done to recoup some of this money that we've had to pay because they, as designers, screwed it up? So they should have to pay, in my book. As a building contractor, that's happened to me before, and I've had to pay because I missed something technical. They have also. So I guess my question is, what are we doing about that? Or are we doing anything about that?
Well, from my standpoint, where I was, I mean, we did get some breaks when I had to call all of them into the office. I had to get them all in the same place, and we had to get the direct answers. And there were some concessions made there as far as replacing the 720p cameras with the 1080p cameras. So there were some concessions made there. There wasn't total concession, but there were some. Most everything I document. When we first started it, and this is, we're talking when James was here, it was, we documented, we had the things that, change orders that were, I believe, unseen, should have been on there. And then it might have went after the fact to litigation or however they do it after the fact. So I keep track of everything, that these change orders and what the costs are and what it is and what isn't. After that, I mean, if I can fight with them all day long, but it's not going to get us to that end point.
I understand it. I understand exactly what you're saying. You and I are talking the same language here, and from the building end of it. I agree wholeheartedly with you 100%. What I'm saying though is that it was missed by you. Bill has already said that he was taking responsibility for missing the 720 cameras versus 1080p. Okay. I get that, and I understand that. I don't like it, but I understood it. What bothers me is that this group that we hired to do this is their main forte. They are jail and prison builders.
Right.
To miss some of these things that they're missing that are really, truly like fire doors, Todd, that's truly in the building code. You can't get away from that. the inspectors are not allowed to just willy-nilly make up their own rules. So
Right.
by the code, the designer should go by the code. That's what's really got me a little upset because
Well, we did take it back to the designer too, and the designer, he said, and this is Joe Morak, that was the consultant for Vice, that, we had more problems with, and he stated that, no, that was never designated as storage. The last area we're talking about, the last area we're talking about is the loading dock. It has one door, you back up, trucks unload it. Now, it has a whole nother bay. There's no access to it, no door, just a whole other bay. And it's like, what did you imagine we would do with that? Just leave that open space? I said, when you got here, we had stuff in there. We had dumpsters, for recyclable in there. We had some other chemicals that we washed the cars there. All that stored in there. And in fact, some of their stuff is stored in there now. I said, why would you believe this not to be a storage area? And then want me to go to the building inspector and try and sway her mind on it, which that didn't happen. And I mean, I didn't sway her mind. I totally agree with her. Now, of course, they give you the, for me to get a fire door at 16 weeks. And I said, I don't care. I guess when you get that door in 16 weeks, we'll pay you. But not until then. I said, it's got to be right. So, and I don't even know if it's going to be, I don't know what kind of, we haven't got into the charge yet, because it hasn't come across as a change order yet, which makes it hard for me to do anything until I see an official something from them with a price on it saying, this is what we're going to charge you to fix our mistake. And those are all documented.
right, and I'm going to leave it at this. I think that a normal person who hires a design group to design the jail, what we wanted to do, we gave them a list of things we wanted. We did not draw those prints up. We did not draw those storage room areas up. We didn't do that. They did. And for them to miss things like that, to me, is totally unacceptable behavior in the contracting. And that's my last point. You know what I'm talking about. I mean,
Yeah, that's always been my stance all the way through. Until I start talking to James, believe me, I'm no lawyer. But he said if it's work value, we need to get it done, get to the end. After that, then there can be some kind of possible litigation after the fact. But, a lot of that money's already been paid out. I mean, it's a lot nicer to have the money on this side before we have it on that side when it goes to litigation, but.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Yes.
So a question for the committee members. Is there a desire to have corporate counsel attend your next finance meeting to engage in a discussion about whether or not finance would like to recommend that corporate counsel begin a review of the project, specifically looking at whether or not there's been breaches of the contract, and prepare a recommendation to the full board on what options are available for the board's consideration?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is that not anything we can request today that we could send to him for him to be able to look at, or?
I think that Commissioner Scott's got some very good points. I think that Todd is doing his best to get this project over the finish line. And if finance wants to pursue getting corporate counsel involved, it would make a lot of sense for finance to say to staff, hey, can you get corporate counsel engaged and start reviewing the contract to see if there are opportunities for essentially cost concessions?
Okay. Tell me, members, what's your desire?
I think that's appropriate. I'd have Todd list the areas where he feels that the design people did not fulfill our expectations or the standards of practice in the industry.
Other commissioners? And as I asked, can it be sent to the attorney today with our agreement and approval?
I guess, Madam Chair, I would like to ask Todd, I haven't actually heard, this is John, Hinton, I haven't heard Todd actually say that he feels that he can't work this out or with them at this point in time. So I guess I would like to ask Todd how he feels about this. He's given us a report, and I would like to hear from Todd as to, Todd, do you think that, that this would be the path for the finance committee to go?
Well, I mean, from a layman's side, I mean, you would think, just as Commissioner Scott said, that it wasn't right. They sold us on the fact that he had 130 jail designs underneath his belt, which I did tell him. I said, if you have all that information, if you don't share it, it's no good. Which is one of his problems. He had a lot of assumptions in there that he felt the contractor should have assumed, which in a project like this, that'll never work. All of them, everything's documented within the change orders. Now, like I said, everything that is approved does have work. It would have been, if they would have done their job right, it would have been in there in the beginning. If they did it in a perfect world. It wasn't. Now, I don't know what those cost differences are, being that now it's a change order, it's an emergency, we gotta move it now, keep on schedule. So, I mean, I have to leave that with you or with corporate, to say, hey, is this worth being able to do it go after?
All right,
I'm just avoid that question totally.
well, I'm just trying to wrap my head around the fact that, if the documented change orders that we agreed to, and if there were additional things, if these things were out of the norm, out of the brackets, from what would normally come up in a project like this, and if corporate counsel would be helpful in this case, that's fine. But if it's going to be harmful to the cause to finish the project and, on time, and if, I don't know what will happen with working within the budget. I don't know if the overages or the things that were not foreseen are egregious or not, egregious enough to cause us to have concern. And that, I guess that's what I'm looking for here. And so if you feel that it's something, whenever, I guess from, I'm the layman guy. And so when I look at, if we're going to go after, I want to make sure that we're on the right side of things is all. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And like I said, everything that we did approve was needed. I mean, when you look at it in the end, you're looking at, was there a cost increase for doing it as I've got to do it now or being in the front of the contract? It all should have been there now. So I don't know, as far as legal goals, is it, for his not doing the due diligence of getting this all on the print. It did cost us time, cost us delays. But the stuff that we did change, put on there was needed. It actually had to work to the project. I mean, for me to look at, you would say, yeah, this is in a normal world, they didn't do it, they should pay for it. That might not have anything to do with legal. That might be a whole different direction. So, I mean, it might be something to ask corporate to, give them that information and see whether or not it's something that we, should pursue. I mean, they're on schedule to be done in October. Of the 35 scheduled changes that we've had, they actually seem to be on time with this one, but we're down at the very end. I mean, there's not too many more issues. There will be a couple. We've got a UPS problem in the jail and other buildings, but other than that, it's going fairly smooth. But it's taken 2.5 years to get to this point on a project that was only 18 months to start with.
Well,
My job, I want to keep it moving. I don't want to, anything that's, that comes in that seems to be, put in for convenience, I'm not going to do. Sheriff wanted a door on the other side, 20 foot away, we got this perfectly fine door. I said, we're sticking with that. I don't want any more changes. That was absolutely have to, and we want to get this to the end point. So that's where, from my standpoint, that's where I'm at. Everything's documented. A lot of it I don't like, but I think there would have to be a question to corporate to see whether or not this is something they can pursue.
Is it going to cost us more money?
There'll
Say-
be, from what's happened to this point, no. I mean, we're already, our contract sum is already there. Now, like I said, there will be, another change order because of the UPS that they missed, and probably another fire door. Now, whether or not that's something that falls on us, the UPS probably will. It was just, maybe just on their part to assume that the one we had in there was just gonna go away and they didn't need it. We do need it. So, there'll be an added cost there. Nothing huge, but still added cost. But it's cost that we have to, it has added value on both of the situations. We do need fire door, we do need UPS. And UPS is the uninterrupted power source for, I think it's for monitors and central, I think mainly.
I think it also covers some
Yeah.
door access and,
Yeah.
I mean, it's several things.
So it is needed.
Who else is talking? I can't hear you.
No, Yep, Coolidge from Information Systems. Keep going.
Oh, there we go. Hello.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have one
Yes.
more comment in that to make on this issue, and then I'll give you my recommendation. First of all, my question is for Todd and for Chris. Are we sure, because an uninterrupted power source is one thing, and I understand all of that. My question to you guys is the electrical relays and everything in place for that uninterrupted power source? Was it, since you're saying it wasn't designed for that, are we going to have an additional expense on the relays for the uninterrupted power source? That's question number one. And question number two is, or statement number two is, you're so close to the end. I don't want to do anything to jeopardize getting the thing turned over. We can discuss at a later date, the attorneys can discuss at a later date, in my opinion, that there could be issues with the change orders that should have never had to have a change order if they were originally designed properly on the design. So in my essence, that is a hostage situation where we are being held hostage and the job can't go forward until we finish signing the change order so the stuff can get put in correctly. That'll be a bone of contention for the attorney. I agree to let the attorney look into all of these issues, but to do nothing that would stop the turnover of the project. We can always look at what it would cost us later, but just to have our corporate counsel look at some of these things and some of these egregious, what I would say is egregious errors, I'm for. But as far as contacting the contractors and the designers, no. Let's finish this project. Let's get it done with, and then we can fight that battle at a later date. But I do want the attorney to take a look at those items to say, and the last thing, Chris, would you also look at whether or not in the electrical end, with the uninterrupted power supply, whether or not it's going to be set up correct with the way that the place was wired, hardwired for incoming, in case they need relays. You understand what I'm saying? And
Right. And on that, I mean, it's an actual replacement of a UPS that was already there. They had scheduled some racks to go in there that had their own little UPSs within the racks, I believe, and they felt that, oh, that was just gotta go away. There's other equipment in there that need to have that. So everything is there, it's a replacement. Now, the other thing too, on some of these that we've like the UPS, we had another little camera issue. I informed the design company and Frederick that this is not gonna be a chain order. We are gonna purchase this direct outside of them. There's not gonna be any 10% shipping, handling, whatever they got on there. This is gonna be a direct pay from us to the vendor to install.
Okay.
We're not gonna say them for listing anything else. We're done with that. So
All right.
that.
I feel though that we need to get this job finished and across the line.
Yeah.
And there was a little informal gentleman's bet wager that the jail intake, I took the jail intake to get done before the mainframe. That's all I'm gonna say. So
I think the coming of Christ will be here before the mainframe dies. Watch. But that's all Christ. No.
Madam Chairman,
Yes. Yes,
we have our county administrator work with Todd to kind of sort out what's fact and fiction on this project before we drag in our highly compensated attorney to kind of paw through contracts and change orders and all that stuff, and then come back with a recommendation whether we engage legal counsel.
okay, and he'll be able to say that it's going well and on time. You're expecting October, you said.
Well, yeah, this section, yeah. I mean, it's taken a while to get to a point where we're on schedule, but I believe we're there.
okay.
All right.
I'm good with that recommendation, Bob Harrison.
Commissioner Hinkleman, that
I am
answered
fine.
your question.
I am fine with Bob's recommendation as well.
Okay, thank you. I am too. Let's go with that. You came today. Is there something we need to say, do so-and-so, or did we say it? Mr. Johnson,
What's that?
did we give you the answer you needed? You came to us to update us. So is there something else that you need? Something more?
No, I mean, I get all the work orders together and I just have to separate the good from the bad and I can get those to you.
Okay. And one thing you said, you wanted to tell us some good things. Are there some good things?
What was it I did?
I didn't know he was going to do that.
I thought he said that.
That's kind of how I would have settled it, but no one else was going for it.
We're okay?
We're good?
Yeah.
Yes, he's good, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on the agenda. Yes,
Madam Chair,
yes.
so just in summary, I'll follow up on Commissioner Harrison's recommendation. I'll work with Todd. We're going to take a look at what, if any, retainage is still in the contract. From that point, we'll determine whether or not to grab John Duane now or wait till we get to the very end of the project. Either way, I'll work with Todd. I'll work with corporate counsel to see if there is any likelihood of some cost concessions at this point.
Okay.
My number one priority is going to be making sure that Todd is able to get this project wrapped as quickly as possible. So once again, we can beat IS to the finish line on their mainstream.
Thank you, County Administrator Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Todd.
You bet.
Our next item in that,
Go ahead, yeah, I was just gonna say, so Chris Whitehart, the Information Systems Director, is in here for your bid recommendation and some other things.
yes.
Yeah, we got the hard one out of the way now.
Hello. That's what we asked you to look at the work, the many things that had come to us and come with your recommendation.
Yes, so this proposal we sent out was to replace the server and storage infrastructure in our data center. We received 5 bids that we opened back on August 5th. I went through with my staff, and we thoroughly went through all the details on those bids, evaluating, because they were very different, a lot of options, a lot of different technical capabilities, and all of those things proposed. And in the end, we came down essentially to two vendors that really checked all the boxes of the things that we were looking for. They paid real close attention to the details in terms of licensing and the various services that we were looking for and what we needed. And those 2 vendors were Logicalis and Frontier. Their bids were extremely close for, there were a lot of options there, but we were looking at like to like. We tried to make it even so that we were evaluating equal technology against each other, because again, there was a lot of variation. And when we looked at those options, they were very close in price, like $300 difference if you look at the sheet there. So in the end, it came down really to a few items that helped. It was a hard decision because they both brought a lot to the table. They paid a lot of attention to what we were looking for. And it really came down to my staff's familiarity with HP hardware. We've always been an HP shop and have worked on HP servers for a very long time. They served the county well. They also had very strong references. One of the references I talked to was the state legislative branch for the state of Michigan that is using this hardware. They had included some training. Their training was really nice to look at. If I bring staff in that has to work on this a year or 2 from now, there's still free training available from them where we can bring that staff member up to speed. So that is why I chose to go with Logicalis for this project, at least to begin the negotiations and start a contract.
Would you tell us that, Chris, would you say the name, spell it for us? Because I don't quite.
Yes.
BP hardware, I didn't know what you said.
Yeah, the name is Logicalis, and it's Logicalis.
Thank you. And the other one was Frontier something?
The other one that was very close was Frontier, yes.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Really, I don't want to, dig too deep into the nuts and bolts and technology of this, but if you have questions, I'm certainly willing to answer those questions and why we came to that decision over the other proposals.
Tell us the dollars. How much?
The proposed quote is $391.95 and 76 cents.
391,000?
Yes, $391,995.76.
And that includes some training and.
Yes, yeah, that's full implementation, turnkey solution. They're bringing in a rack. We'll install it in our data center. They'll help us with the transition to the new hardware. They will work with our staff to bring them up to speed on its operation and the migration of our existing servers and data over to this hardware. There's a lot of excellent built-in technology that is really going to add to the resiliency of the county network and also improve our survivability, which is great.
And this will fit in that room where the mainframe is now?
Yes, it's going in our main data center.
Other questions?
I'm sorry, did you catch that one question?
Committee? Other questions?
I have Commissioner Scott. We've been through some of these things before, Chris. So I see that the one company, I believe it was Presidio. They only included 2 licenses. So Logicalis is providing 6 licenses for us.
Yes, so both Logicalis and Frontier, there was information that was presented in the RFP and the subsequent pre-bid meetings that we had with all the vendors. And we also exchanged technical emails with all of them that said that we were looking for we needed 6 licenses for our VMware infrastructure in order to move it over to the new hardware.
Right, and that bothers me a little bit because you, as everybody should remember, go back in time and remember, everything is all about buying these licenses. And if they're not included, they get to be a little pricey, whether it was the sheriff's department and the cameras or IS or whatever. So I'm happy with the difference in price and $300 in difference going with Logicalis. And maybe that $300 is a call coming out of your department. I'm not going to ask that you cut your budget by $300 to pick that up. I would just say it. That's just my opinion, okay? If it's all about the money, Chris.
It is very much so. Thank you, Commissioner.
Other questions? Then we made a motion. It went to you. You studied it, and this is your recommendation. And so,
Yes.
do we make another motion to accept it, or what? How do we do this, administrative?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motion. We accept the bid from Logicalis for the server upgrades for the county.
This Commissioner Harrison, I'll second his motion.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion or questions? Would you call the roll, please, Annette?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes. Oh,
Commissioner
Stephanie,
Harrison,
who's calling? Stephanie?
Yes, Stephanie, she's at the head table over there.
Okay, thank you.
Wait a second, there you go.
Commissioner Harrison votes yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes. Our next, my agenda keeps disappearing. Are we still talking with Mr. Sweetheart?
Yes.
You are.
Sweetheart, Sweetheart. How do you say your name?
Sweetheart, Swihart, it's okay. I'm right here.
That's what we call it.
Oh, hey, now.
We have other questions for you
Yes.
about,
Madam Chair,
yes,
this is Commissioner Scott.
yes,
I would like to discuss the Adobe
yes.
software that was
Yes.
requested by
Yes.
our county administrator, Brian Doucette. And if, Chris, if you could fill us in on that and give us the pros, the cons, and the cost.
Okay, so Adobe, everybody has Adobe Reader, which is installed on all the PCs in the county. Adobe Professional is the full version of that software. So in addition to being able to view PDF documents, you have the ability to create them as well. So you can build forms, you can import Word documents, change them into PDFs, Excel documents. So it's a much more robust package. As we know, PDF is a universal document format and can be opened by anybody, regardless of whether they have Word or any other, word processing software. So the cost, traditionally, we bought these on a as-needed basis, as requested. Somebody has a specific need in order to be able to create forms, and we bought those on a license-by-license basis. The current cost per license is $401.78. Now, we had investigated in the past about getting an enterprise license so that we could provide it to anybody. The cost was astronomical. I did reach out to CDW last week after receiving a request from Mr. Doucette and requested an enterprise license. I still have not received that number. I did look, to see, because he was requesting licenses for all department heads. Currently in our email group, we have roughly 36 department heads and their designees. And I calculated that out, so if we were to buy a license based on that existing cost, it would be $14,464 to license everybody for all the department heads for the full version of Adobe. Now, it's possible that CDW may come back and the enterprise license may be less than that. I can tell you my experience in the past is it's going to be more expensive, but you know, maybe things have changed between now and then. That was several years ago.
Is that a
Chris, I have a
one-time
question.
cost, Mr. Scott? Is that a one-time, this 14,000 or the $401.78? That's a one-time?
Yeah, yes, once we purchase the license, we own it. So it's not a subscription where we have to go out and renew it every year. So it's very similar to Microsoft Office. You're buying a license to that version of Adobe Professional. Now down the road, if they want to say upgrade from Adobe 2020 to Adobe Professional 2025, you would have to buy a new license for that upgrade.
And how do you connect? And Administrator, I'd like for you to be involved in this. If you said there are 36 department heads, do they all need it, or can they go to another computer and there it is in the computer?
The software.
I don't want
to. It's a software package, much like Microsoft Office. It has to be loaded wherever they're using it from. So it's not a cloud-based solution. It's an application. So if they need it on their desktop, their laptop, whatever, we have to make sure to load it on each one.
Okay.
Madam
Please,
Chair?
Mr. Scott, yes.
Yep.
Yes,
My recommendation is to this board, if the board is willing, I'd like to put out a survey to the various department heads on who is most likely to use the software, allow them an opportunity to make the case for having this additional tool. I can tell you for the past 15 years, I used Adobe almost every day, and I was having a bit of a temper tantrum when I realized that we couldn't package things up and send it to the board as one compressed document.
okay.
I have a feeling that we have a variety of department heads that have similar feelings. They've just repressed those feelings and given up all hope on getting this tool. With that said, I'll put together a brief survey, get it out to department heads, figure out how many licenses we'd actually be looking at, and then work to bring that back to the Finance Committee for future consideration. I can tell you that it is a tool that I've personally used. All of the previous team I worked with used on a daily basis. And the biggest advantage is, as I look at the emails going out to the full board, it is loaded with attachments. And the emails are, at least personally, I find them to be a bit difficult to navigate because we are attaching so many things and asking you all to have them quickly available. My goal is to send you one document where there's bookmarks and it's easier for you all to search. I think that it would make a lot of sense, and it would definitely make it easier for us to communicate out with our elected officials and our various boards.
Would this Adobe be on our computers also? Is that another charge? I mean, another license?
No, it would. You all are able to open up the documents and read them. It would be something for your staff to be able to assemble those documents so that you don't have various scans or Word documents or spreadsheets as attachments. You'd still be able to see everything. It would just be one attachment as opposed to multiple.
Okay. And I see Chris nodding, yeah. Commissioner Scott, you had a question?
Yes, I did. I appreciate, Brian, your efforts in that. That was one of the things that I was going to ask that I think you touched on, is the 36 that you're talking about. not only are department heads, but they're elected officials also, if that's correct in what I've heard. And depending on whether or not they will absolutely have need for that, is one thing. I know right now there's 2 licenses that we need. One for our administrator and one for Annette. I know that by all means. Those are the 2 top priorities that I can think of. I don't know whether Todd needs that. I don't know. I'm not picking on you, Todd, but you're just there. I don't know whether or not you would need that to send stuff out to us. I get it. But that's a good thing to have our administrator check with all the department heads to find out. Because Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. If we buy, let's say maybe not all 36 department heads want it, or even will use it, then that gets whittled down. At a later date, if they decide they want to, then we can always purchase another license or 2, correct?
Yes. That is correct, yes.
All right. I wanted to make sure that I was thinking properly on that. Okay, good. That's all I had.
Other questions? Committee? Then I would ask, as you suggested, Administrator, that you check and see who needs it and whatever, because I truly want you to have what you need to work with. Any further questions or discussion about that? Annette, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So
that-
can I have a new office? As long as you guys are giving today, you know. Just kidding.
That's all I want to see. Do you want Adobe? You know, I don't know what to say.
I guess, yeah.
I want you to be satisfied too, because you said everything to us times 2. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do you have any other questions of Mr. Swihart? Commissioner?
No.
Yes?
I still have the mainframe stuff to go over yet. Do you want me to do that update on the mainframe?
Okay.
Yes.
That'd be good.
The Todd so graciously brought up.
Come on, jail project.
All right, so,
I have a schedule. Okay. Chris, you got one of those?
right here. So I'll make this brief. I know we're running short on time. We still have basically 4 applications that are still on the mainframe: drain, pension, officer daily, which is used by the sheriff's department for the officers' daily reporting, and then the courts/prosecutor criminal system and civil system. So the drain application, as you know, we just went out and purchased the additional dashboard and reporting features that Christopher wanted. We're in the process. We've set up the server for that. They're working on the dashboard layout. And the tentative go live for that, finishing that, is going to be October, November. Included in that, they have to train 3 new staff members, I guess, that Christopher has brought on board. So that will be part of that. But that project is moving forward, and tentatively what I'm being told now is hopefully by the end of the year, they'll be off. Pension application, we're working on the final steps of the data conversion. We're anticipating that the final converted data will be uploaded by the end of the month, and that Shelley and Olivia can begin their testing. Once that testing is completed, we'll schedule a go-live date for that product, and we can move that off the mainframe. So hopefully end of the year, first part of next year, pension will be off as well. Officer daily, we had a meeting earlier this week with the sheriff department staff, under sheriff, Chief Deputy Boyce, Kim Dilly, and Captain Miller, to talk to them about that project. There are a few outstanding issues that they would like seen tweaked on the reporting, numbers that they use for filing information with the state. So we're meeting with Core, the application vendor, this afternoon to discuss those tweaks. Once those changes to the reports are made, they're going to expand the testing out to the whole department, and then we can talk about go live on that as well. So those three projects are moving together, and hopefully by the end of the year, first part of next year, those three applications will be off. We kind of know where we're at with Equivant. We're deep in the configuration, finishing up the configuration for civil and probate, which is going live here in December. So they're working on financial obligations, security configuration, and configuring calendar events. The user training is set to begin in November, and then the go live for civil and probate is scheduled for that first week of December. So everything is on track and moving forward with the Equivant for the courts and prosecutor. And that's the applications that are left on the mainframe right now. Do you have any questions?
So it appears that the jail project will be done ahead of.
I can pretty much finish the job without doing it. Going backwards, it still be done before Christmas.
Yeah, well, the big thing to add with the mainframe that you're all aware of is that come 2021, we're going to be in dire straits. So we need to make sure that we stay on task and get these applications finished. I have secured support for maintenance for hardware repair up to the end of December 2021. But beyond that, the vendor is not going to want to do that anymore. So we won't have anybody to repair a hardware failure at the end of December. Come this 2023, our software vendor that runs the database system on the mainframe will no longer support that product. So, I mean, we're under some deadlines that we really have to make sure that we stay on track, we stay on task, and that we follow these projects through to completion. So it's very important to me, it's very important to the county that we continue to move this project forward and get it finished.
I have a question. The $300,000 piece we just bought, when will it be in? When will it be installed? When will it be working?
The piece for drain, that's already been set up. The servers are loaded. The dashboard software.
No. I'm talking about this rack or something that we just bought.
Server sand. Oh, I'm sorry, the server sand. So that would be part of the negotiation process as we work out the contract with the vendor. We'll get a signed contract, we'll bring that before you, get approval. And then once we have that contract signed, then they'll order the parts. Now, we all know with COVID that technology to some extent has been delayed. So whether that would be a 60-day delivery, 90-day delivery, I don't know. Our hope is definitely that we get this in and installed as quickly as we can.
And so it will not affect the completion of the three things that you said would be off the mainframe.
No, this is entirely separate from the mainframe, will not interfere with any of the mainframe projects right now.
Thank you. That just came to me. Does that go, together or what?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and any servers that are associated with the mainframe applications will be able to be migrated live. It won't impact downtime, so it will be good.
Oh, good. Thank you. Committee, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
We thank you. Thank you for the update. Anything else from IS?
I don't know.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I know that we've got a 10:30 board meeting that leaves us about 20 minutes to discuss one more item if this board is willing to spend a little bit more time with us.
I still
Yes.
have committee, and I still have board appointments that I have talked about, so.
Okay, before I dive into that, Annette's got a few items for the board.
Yes, go ahead, Annette.
So first, you need a motion to approve your minutes from the August 13th meeting, and we'll need to do a roll call on that after you say a motion and support.
May I have a motion? please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make that motion to approve the minutes.
And who are you?
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you. May I have a support?
Mr. Harrison, I second.
It's been moved and properly supported. Any questions, discussion, corrections? Would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Thank you. The
Commissioner
motion,
Scott.
Yes.
the motion passes. Thank you. Annette?
So I'm still working on getting your public comments here. I do have somebody who's going to be engaging. I'm just getting a little bit more information. In the meantime, we haven't really visited board appointments since March 23rd. It's kind of fallen off the table. So I spent a couple of days this week kind of looking at all of that. And I do have a couple that I would like to bring to you and then ultimately to the full board. On the Land Preservation Board, which Commissioner Hinkleman is actually on that as well. We have, they've not been active, but we still need to maintain that board. I think they actually had one meeting last year. So what I have is farmers, Donald Byers and Edward Kretschmann. Both of them have been on that since we put that board together. Rod Krieger is the member of the Planning Commission who serves also on the Land Preservation Board. That's done right in the bylaws that we have to have somebody from the Planning Commission. And then of course, Commissioner Hinkleman, his is up as well, so I'll be asking the chairman to reappoint him. So I'd like to know if you're good with us moving forward to the full board to reappoint Donald Byers, Rod Krieger, and Ed Kretschmann to the Land Preservation Board.
Yes.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I have a question. Commissioner Hinkleman, you serve on that board, and I know you haven't had a lot of meetings because I serve on a couple of boards where we don't have a lot of meetings also. What is your recommendation?
All of the people that Ned mentioned are all very good people. And the fact that the board doesn't meet very often doesn't in any way diminish the quality of the people. The people are all good for that, and I'm sure would stand ready to make decisions should that board have cause to meet. So I would be very much behind all the people.
Good, thank you. That was what I was looking for.
Any other questions or discussion? Do you need a motion from us in that?
I do not need a motion, I just need a consensus, and that will be on the full board meeting for next week. And it will be a recommendation that will be listed as coming from the Finance Committee. So you'll see that on the agenda as your action to take before the full board.
Thank you. Commissioner Harrison, you're good with that?
I'm very good with it.
All right, thank you. Please
So
go
the other
ahead.
one that I have is James Roberts, who sits on your Trust Investment Advisory Committee that you guys meet with on a regular basis. He is also up for reappointment. He has also been on there since the beginning, and his attendance is good. He has a desire to continue in that capacity, so I'd like to know if you're okay with reappointing James Roberts to the Finance Committee.
Yes, I certainly am. I don't think he's ever missed a meeting even.
I'm good with it also.
Has very good input and
mine.
questions. He does.
Okay, great.
It's a good-
And so, oops, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. It's just it's a good committee.
Okay. All right, so I'll have that one on the agenda as well then. And I came for you guys a couple of months ago here about a board member that we had that was having some attendance issues due to some medical problems that she was having. It turns out after I reviewed, when we reestablished which boards went to which committees as the parent committees, I did not realize that that board that I talked to you about actually goes under PHSC. And so I have reached out to the personnel chair, Commissioner Chickering. I left him a phone message yesterday, and I'll try to reach him up again today to see if that's something that I can't get before PHSC to have a further conversation about that. That still continues to be a problem, so.
This is the 90-year-old honey, my lady I know?
Uh,
Is that that's what this is about?
Yes.
Yes, okay, let them have it. Good, give it to that committee. Thank
So
you.
PHSC will have that conversation, I hope. Okay, so and then, public comments, let me get back to public comments. Okay.
I'm a true believer that had you had Adobe Pro, this probably wouldn't have been under your oversight. This would have been just right on, as usual.
Wow.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
I'm communicating with somebody about, which I have not got everything from her yet, so if you want
Okay.
to go ahead and do your thing.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please, go ahead.
Annette needs a couple of minutes to wrap up public comment. Last week, the committee received bids for crack sealant work to occur at one of the county's parking lots.
Yes.
Todd is here today. Todd and I have kind of gone back and forth on what the best option is. The bids came in at the exact same amount, and they are both local, reputable contractors.
Yes.
This is a situation you're not going to see all that often where it is the exact same number and it's two well-known local and reputable contractors. There's a variety of options that we could propose, but because those numbers are the exact same, there's not a real great way for staff to proceed and have it be truly fair. I was hoping just to spend a couple of minutes discussing the issue with the committee and see if you all are comfortable with a couple of ideas that, between myself and Todd, that we have. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
Yes, please tell us, because I read the comments that came in. So please, what do you suggest?
So Todd, do you want to just summarize what the work is and what your thoughts are?
Yeah, this is taking place at our South County campus. And we try to do space these out through each year during each building just to preserve as much asphalt as we can. And they're pretty down and dirty type situation. They crack fill, they seal, they stripe. Both companies have done probably equal work at the county. Never had a problem with anything that any of them done. We have no doubts that either one of them could do the job that we need. So there was no way to put any distinction between the two of them. Our solution was easy: get the two together. We're gonna have a coin toss. And we just don't know any other fair way to do it. I know if we, try to split hairs, which we can't, because we're using the same materials. We don't want to show favorism to one or the other, because both are good companies. We use both of them. So we find that is really the only fair way we can do it.
All right. And was it 10,400? Was that the amount?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. And
Madam Chair.
Administrator Dissent, yes.
So Todd's solution could definitely work. Another option for finance to consider is, well, it's an A or a B. A is just rebid the project and see if we get better numbers, or B is to add in some additional scope items and ask the two bidders to give us a number for some additional items, additional work items, and see if that is a good way to break the tie. What I wanted to make sure from this group is that you all are comfortable. We can flip a coin with the two contractors face to face. We can rebid the project, or option 3 or option C is we can ask the two contractors to give us some pricing for additional scope items. I think any of those would work, but I didn't want us to go down a path that the Finance Committee isn't comfortable with.
Madam Chair, I would I would just suggest, this is John Hinkle, I would just suggest that you, Todd's recommendation is a good recommendation. Just the work that was bid, get that problem solved or get that taken care of. So I'm perfectly comfortable with the fair solution to flip a coin and offer for both of them to be present at the coin flip. And then as we need more work, we can, they can bid it as appropriate. So I'm perfectly comfortable with the coin toss. It's that there's tremendously fair way to do it and everybody will understand. So.
Okay. Other comments?
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it also. My only question would be, so there's no impropriety, who is actually going to do the coin toss? Annette would be my choice.
Oh, wait a minute, let me ask you.
Commissioner Scott,
Other duties as assigned.
Other duties as assigned. Thank you, Commissioner Harrison.
Uh-huh. And I would be fine with it too. I would like to do what's fair and right.
Yep.
Or ask Sheriff Bailey to flip the coin.
Oh, boy.
So,
Madam Chair.
yes.
Would you all like us to do this just in the next couple of days, or would you prefer that we do the coin toss at your next finance committee meeting next Thursday?
Just, I would say, if that's a question for Amy, fine, but sooner the better. I'm sure they would like to go.
I would think do it
agree.
as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, I'll get you a quarter.
Okay.
I need a quarter.
Annette, did you have any more things on the side for us?
I do. I have some public comments for you. I'm getting through YouTube. We have 10 people watching the meeting right now. The public comments come from Gwen Swanigan, who is in St. Joseph. And she says that her comment is that the citizens of Berrien County would like to propose a citizen review board. And she says which will consist of non-police community members who can regularly provide input into police department operations, enforce greater police accountability, and help build trust within the community. And that is the only public comment that I have received.
And the name, please?
Gwen Swanigan.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Well, I believe you guys are all set. I don't think they have anything else.
Any more discussion or anything else, commissioners?
No,
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm tired.
Hey, we're busy.
We needed to be. See you at 10:30.
Yes.
Thank you.
You just want to set it up for tomorrow?
Hang on just a second.
You want to set it up for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll find out.